Hopefully, you are making all the money when it comes to your freelancing business. And we want to help you keep track of the money that you have coming in using Moxie's invoices. Now, your invoices are going to work together with the rest of Moxie. So that means that you can add your tracked hours or billable projects. So when you set up your projects, you're also going to add the fees that you're going to charge for that project. And when you track hours or you have projects that are completed, you will see those items here in your tracked hours and billable projects. So when you click add, you'll only see the ones that still need to be paid. You can see here that I have already billed for these things, so they're not available for me right now. But any projects that are out, you can drill down and see what you're billing for by week. You can even drill down and see which days you worked and that you're billing for. And you can choose to only bill for a set amount of time that you would like to. When it comes to a fixed rate project, you can choose to only invoice a certain amount today if you have some milestones set up or you're going to bill just a certain amount with each invoice. And then we'll keep track of what has been invoiced as well. So if I invoice half of this today, then the next time I'll still see this project, but I'll be able to see what has been previously invoiced. So in this case, you can see that this has been previously invoiced here. For if you work on an invoice, but you have something you want to add that isn't part of a tracked project, you can add a new line item. This is going to pull up your product and service library. So you create this with the name of the product or service, the rate that you are going to work at. You can also choose that to be hourly and if it is taxable. So let's say you create a blog and you can add this blog here, and then you'll update the quantity to the number of words, and that will update the subtotal as well. So you're able to add these new line items. So if you're a consultant and you offer a strategy session, you can add the rate there as well. Click create new in order to add new ones. And then you can also edit and remove these as necessary. These will also live in your product, in your workspace settings, and you're able to manage your products and services there as well. If you have an expense that you have marked as reimbursable, you will see that here. And again, we'll keep track of which expenses have already been added to an invoice. And if they have, you won't see them here as an option. Or if you don't have any reimbursable expenses, you won't see that as an option. But here I can click on this and let my client know that there is an expense that needs to get reimbursed. You can also apply a deposit credit. So we recommend, of course, that you collect a deposit. You'll create a separate deposit invoice that I can show you in a moment. But after that deposit invoice has been paid, you'll see the amount collected and if any is still available to be applied to this invoice. So in this case, I have already applied an amount to another invoice. So here is what is remaining to be added to this invoice. You'll add in any notes and payment instructions. You can also attach any files. So if your client wants to have a download of all of the time that you've worked, you can add that here as well. And you can click here to set up your payment terms to let your client know that there is a late fee if they are late paying. You'll want to make sure that that's been included in your contract as well. If you need to change any of these settings, you can do that simply by clicking. You can add the information as necessary here. You can update these due dates. You can also change the invoice numbering sequence. So if you want to set up your invoice numbering scheme so that it makes the most sense for you, you can click here. You can also set that up in your workspace settings. Then when you're ready to share it, you'll hit share and you can send that by a downloadable PDF or by an email. If you want to collect a deposit, you'll go to create an invoice and you're going to choose a deposit invoice. You can also choose a recurring invoice. And so with a recurring invoice, you'll have so much that you get to choose. You can choose when it is running and how often. You can choose to send it automatically, or you can have it send you a notification and ask for your approval before it gets sent. You can automatically charge on the due date. If you are integrated with Stripe and you have a credit card on file, it can automatically charge that on the due date. You'll want to make sure that you've talked to your client first about that. And you'll choose how you want to show your the hourly line breakdown. So if you have worked by hours, you can choose to show just the total, or you can show each day's worth of hours, depending on how your client likes to see that. You can also choose to include billable hours and billable projects, or let's say you're not working hourly with this client, you can opt to only include the billable projects on your automatic invoice. Then when you want to edit that recurring invoice, click on Invoices and this drop down, and you'll be able to see that this is a recurring invoice that you have set up. To view your deposits, you can see which deposits you have collected, and you'll be able to see when a credit has been applied. You'll be able to check out that this has been paid. And then if you want to see where the credit was applied, here is the invoice and here is the deposit credit that you can see there. So you never lose track of it. If you have other income in your accounting, you can do that in payments and income. You'll be able to see everything that you've been paid here and the status, and you'll also be able to add a recurring payment. So if you have another income source that's outside of invoices, you'll click the plus button and choose a recurring payment similar to your recurring invoice. You'll choose how often you are getting paid and the amount, as well as the other information about that payment, so that you can keep track of it for your accounting later. You can also just add a singular payment here as well. If you received a payment, you can apply to a Moxie invoice, or you can just enter other income that is generated outside of an invoice. And you'll just enter quick information about which client that income is related to, how you were paid, and any other identifiers that you want to save. And that is your invoices and payments. Let's say you do get paid, but you don't get paid online. You can choose to show your invoice. Click on an invoice that you want to add the payment to. You'll click on these three dots and then choose to record a payment. And you can say how you got paid. Let's say they sent you a Venmo, and then you can add in the amount that you got paid. Add any notes there as well if you want to write a memo to yourself. Opt to send a receipt to your folks. If they did send you this payment, again, by Venmo or check, you can opt to send a receipt to let them know that you have received it.